We're so glad that you're joining us. My name is Ann Wicks. I'm the Ann Kimball Johnson Director of the Education Reform Initiative here at the George W. Bush Institute. And as part of the work of our team, we have the honor of managing the Laura Bush Foundation for America's Libraries. And so first, I want to say congratulations to all of our award winners who are joining us on this call. We're thrilled for you. We loved reading your applications. We loved hearing about your schools and your students and the work that you all are doing in your libraries. And we just really commend you for the work that you're doing every day for kids, particularly during such a complex and intense and difficult time for so many people, so many of the families and the children that you're serving. And we're just totally in your debt and feel very honored for this small opportunity to work with you. And so I'm just delighted to have some of you with us today. We're going to record this in case there are colleagues that you have that might benefit from this. We'll make sure that all of our award winners get a chance to see this in case it's useful to them. So our goal today is we really wanted to introduce you to a partner that, that we've gotten to know that might be helpful to you all as you're deciding how to spend your $5,000 checks. So First Book has helped us with a number of things in this process, but they have, if you're not familiar with them, a really powerful network of resources for, particularly for schools and libraries. And number one in that, considering your grant awards, is a marketplace where you can purchase books and materials for your libraries at a very reduced cost. So you're not obligated at all to use First Book, but it's such a great resource. We wanted to make sure that you all were aware of this. There's other things that they do if you become part of their network that you might have resources and things that might be useful to you. But we wanted to make sure you were aware of how their marketplace worked, the kinds of materials that they have there as you're thinking about how you might order your books and supplement, expand your collections thanks to this grant. So I also wanted to introduce you to Alex Dowdy. Alex is the person you probably know the best. Alex, I don't know if you're coming on screen or not. There she is. So Alex Dowdy is the one that you all email with whenever you're asking questions, the one who's making sure all the checks get cut. So Alex, you want to wave and say hi to everyone. Alex is a former English teacher before she joined us here at the Bush Institute working on the education team. And so I just wanted you to see the person behind the name when you're doing your emails and calls. Thank you, Alex, for everything you've been doing. For those of you who don't know, the Laura Bush Foundation has been around since 2002 when President and Mrs. Bush were in the White House. And Mrs. Bush, as many of you know, is a former teacher and librarian, believes deeply in the role that books and reading plays in the academic success for all kids and how important it is, what a wonderful foundation it is for every child. And she also knows that, right, so for so many schools, the library budget is sort of last on the list, right? And then that means that in many schools, particularly in Title I schools or schools serving families living in close to or in poverty, those collections in those libraries are outdated and old. And so the whole point of the foundation is to help expand and update collections in schools that just don't have access to that kind of library budget typically. So since 2002, we've been given away more than 17 million to 3,000 schools all over the country, as you can see, in all 50 states, District of Columbia, US territories, and military bases. We've done some disaster relief as well. But Mrs. Bush is a huge fan of and champion of teachers and librarians, and this is a really nice, very direct way that we can showcase that love and respect for you all from her and the team here. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to our friends from First Book. And I believe Candace Radowski, Candace and Becky Last, they're gonna take you through a little bit of what First Book offers and show you a little bit of the marketplace, and we'll go from there. So Becky, am I turning things over to you?
You are turning it over to both of us. So hello,
okay,
everyone.
awesome.
And thank you, Ann and Alex, so much for having us. We're excited to virtually meet all of you, and congratulations on your grant award. We're excited to share First Book as a resource with all of you. So Candace, if you want to, I think you're driving, if you want to flip the slide.
I am, sorry, it's not flipping.
That's okay. We'll just keep talking and we'll get there.
There we go.
So First Book's mission is really based in and centered around educational equity. And so as an organization, we look to identify barriers to equal education and work to help remove those barriers for educators and programs serving kids in need specifically. So today, we don't work as an organization directly with students. We work to support you. We work to support all of those educators and librarians and practitioners working with kids in need nationwide to make sure you have access to the books and resources that you need to be successful in supporting your students. So how we do that on the next slide is that we have essentially established a network of educators and practitioners serving kids in need. And so this is made up of folks working within a school. So teachers, paraprofessionals, media specialists, administrators. It's also made up of folks working outside of the school space. So after school programs, early childhood home visitors, health programs, clinics, museums, libraries. It's anywhere where there's a population where at least 70% of the kids come from families in need, or if it's in the case of a school, a Title I or Title I eligible school. And so anyone who works in that environment to support kids in need has access to First Book as a resource. And to give you a sense of our scale, we have over 520,000 educators in our network, and that grows at about 750 a week. And so we're really in about 1 out of every 3 classrooms and programs serving kids in need specifically. And to date, we've been around we're in our 29th year, so we're about to celebrate our 30th year as an organization. We've distributed over 200 million books and resources out through that wonderful network of educators supporting kids in need. So we reach about 5 million children annually, just to give you a sense. And in talking to that network, because part of what we do with that network is to really understand what are the needs in your community and what are your needs that we can help support to make you more successful. We, of course, identified a huge barrier to education equity as access. Access to books and resources, and really books that help specifically reflect the lives of the kids that we serve, that you all serve, and books that will help those kids get excited about reading and learning. And so to address that issue of access, years ago, we built what's called the First Book Marketplace. And that's really what we're here to talk to you all about today. It is all nonprofit, though on its surface, it looks like an e-commerce site when you go there, and we will go there and give you a little bit of a tour of the marketplace momentarily. Essentially, this is our way to get those free and low cost resources out to you. And the power of the marketplace is really based on the principles of aggregate buying. It's the idea that we are aggregating needs from multiple communities across the country that specifically serve kids in need. And then when you make purchases through the First Book Marketplace, you are essentially driving down the cost of resources for the entire sector, so supporting kids in need specifically. So when you use First Book and when you get resources from us, you're actually helping to support others' ability to access books and resources, in addition to, as Anne had mentioned earlier, helping stretch your dollars as far as possible. The other thing you're doing when you use the First Book Marketplace is that you're actually influencing the publishing industry on the type of content that's needed to support kids living in communities of need, and really identifying what are those content areas that they should focus on. For example, lifting up more authors, more diverse authors and illustrators, more stories that reflect broader home situations and lives, that is absolutely something that when you use First Book and you use the First Book Marketplace, you are contributing and adding your voice to that market power, essentially. So as on the First Book Marketplace, and we'll go to it in a moment, we have curated a selection of titles for kids ages 0 to 18. And we have books that are both free on that marketplace and books that are low cost. To give you a sense, the average cost of a book on the First Book Marketplace is $3.50, including shipping and handling. And I know I don't have to tell this group specifically, but that is, you know, between 50 and 90% off of retail. We're going to do a walkthrough of the marketplace, as I've been saying, but we have other resources just worth mentioning beyond books that might be of interest to you too, including basic need items, digital learning materials, activities. It's really anything that will help engage kids with learning and help you provide a more equitable education to the children that you serve. And so on the next slide, Candace is going to talk to you a little bit more specifically about the marketplace and the different sections that we have put together based on the feedback that we've received from our network.
Thanks, Becky. And quick disclaimer, I'm so sorry. My dogs have identified something outside that's very interesting. So if I have to mute really quickly, Becky, can we just tag team for a second and then I'll pop back in because they're very loud. So, oh, sorry. One of the things that we know is really important to this network is time. Everyone is busy, everyone is overworked. Time is of the essence. And so in designing the marketplace, in addition to making sure that it is providing the utmost financial value, it's been designed to be really easily navigable and merchandised in a way that speaks to content areas that are important to our network. We'll walk through some of these sections live. We thought we'd take you on a little walking tour of the marketplace, but this is just a snapshot of what kinds of things you can sort by. You can sort by age, you can sort by price, you can sort by book type or product type. And there are different hubs that have been designed to kind of quickly take you to content areas that will be of the most use for you. Before we hop into the live walkthrough, I wanted to just spend a minute highlighting what Becky said about our priority of celebrating diversity and inclusion. First Book Stories for All project was started, we launched at the Clinton Global Initiative in 2013. And it really is our commitment to making sure that we're lifting up and making available the most relevant children's literature. We know that when kids have access to books that reflect their culture and their background, their family structure, their life experiences, it helps them develop a healthy sense of self and feel validated. And likewise, when kids get to see the experiences of others that are not like theirs, it helps build empathy and compassion and create more cooperative learning environments. And everything we do at First Book as we're curating the marketplace really is through the lens of this Stories for All project, making sure that we're really focused on the best in class, new releases, award winners, content areas that are really relevant through the lens of diversity. So with that, we can take you on a little tour of the marketplace. It's fbmarketplace.org for those who want to follow along. And we'll just take you through some of those sections that we know are relevant to you based on some of the feedback that you've given us, and invite you to take your time and hopefully revisit on your own and find some great resources that are exciting for you and your kids. So when you land on the marketplace at fbmarketplace.org, you will always see a slider at the top that'll kind of give you the snapshot, the cheat sheet of what's new, what's exciting, what's relevant if we're celebrating a Heritage Month, what types of new resources we've just added, what award winners were just announced, that type of thing. We've always got new arrivals here, easy for you to find really quickly. There's a great video and a little more information on our purpose and our mission, and then popular topics. And there's always a $3 and under section here at the bottom. So this is kind of your landing spot to get you to some of these places really quickly. Pointing out a couple of some of the sections that we know are important to you all. We can start with the Stories for All project that I just highlighted, our diversity and inclusion section. You can see that we feature books and resources that are relevant throughout the year at a particular time. And then there's this wonderful array of different categories, celebrating a variety of cultures and backgrounds. And we'll talk about some of these other resources as we walk through some of the other sections. But you can see it's kind of this hub for diversity and inclusion. Along those lines, we also have Spanish language and Spanish English bilingual books. There's always hundreds of titles in this section, and we should have mentioned too, there are upwards of 4,000, 5,000 unique titles and products on the marketplace at any given time. So there's great, wonderful variety. You can sort by different ages and categories. Really quickly, easily organize and find what you're looking for. I should have mentioned before we started walking through, as you guys are seeing me click along the top here, that top blue ribbon, at least for the foreseeable future, will always be that top blue ribbon. So it's another way for you to navigate, just like any other e-commerce site, if you wanted to just go directly to age-specific books or these different categories of books and topics that I was just pulling down from. We'll walk through some of the other sections as well, but this is kind of your top navigation bar to get you to those sections that are important to you. Wanted to share the Social and Emotional Learning Hub. This, not surprisingly, you all shared with us, is of the utmost importance to you right now. And I think the national conversation is just lifting up the importance of social and emotional health for children even more after this last year and a half. You can see that you can shop by different character development traits, additional resources and topics, different themes. And then within any of those, you'll find the books and the filters on the side to help you get where you need to go quickly. One last section here, wanted to point out the STEAM section. This is, as you all know, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. At the top, we've got non-book resources as well as new diversity and STEAM books that we're featuring. And then you can dive into each category within STEAM to find books within that particular area of science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And you can see there's, well over 100 titles just in technology and engineering for kids of all ages. So really great selections for anyone reaching kids of all ages. One other area I wanted to go to, sorry, I just saw it, I was just on it a minute ago, but I wanted to point out that we have a section on supporting reluctant readers. Here we go. We know that things like graphic novels and high-low books, high interest, low reading level books can be really useful. And as folks are focused on literacy and learning recovery, these books can be really helpful. So know that we have an entire section here really focused on igniting a love of learning, a love of reading, engaging reluctant readers. And then as we kind of cruise along the top section here, wanted to highlight some free resources that we make available. These resources are most often, created in response to feedback from our network. As Becky mentioned, we regularly survey and focus group with our network to find out what else do you need more information on, in addition to great books and celebrating diversity and supporting reluctant readers. What types of resources will help you be an even more effective educator and meet your kids where they are? And so in the free resources section, we'll see a variety of different types of resources. Our most recent featured resource is a free downloadable diversity school year calendar. I don't know, Becky, if you want to say a little bit more about that. I know this was a passion project for you recently.
Well, this calendar was created, as Candace said, in response to the network, because folks were telling us that they serve such a diverse group of students and wanted a better understanding of what was going on in their lives outside of school and couldn't keep track of the different holidays and dates of note that had cultural significance. And so this calendar was really created to help support educators in being more supportive of their students, and has been around for a few years. It gets updated every year, and this is definitely one of our most requested resources. But Candace, as you scroll through, you'll see a lot of resources that have been created. Of interesting note, if you click on that red bar in the middle, we heard feedback from our network about wanting to have more conversations with kids about race and how to support their kids, as there were a lot of conversations that students were having about race and diversity and inclusion. And so we have created an empowering educators toolbox with these resources included in it. So you can even dive down a little bit deeper within the free resources section to get access to additional resources on topic. Candace, if you go back out to the free resources section, just to point out 2 or 3 other things here that are of interest, or that might be of interest to this group in particular, based on your fabulous input that you gave in your applications. As Candace is working.
You can see me clicking on this, right? I don't.
Yep. As you go further down the free resources page, for those of you who are following along online at fbmarketplace.org, you will also notice that there are resources to support educators working with kids that are experiencing trauma, that are experiencing grief and loss. And then most of what might be of most interest to you is if you scroll down to the bottom of the free resources page. Candace, it might help to just even maybe put in the URL again. There's a section at the bottom called Open eBooks. And this is essentially First Book partnered with the New York Public Library, the Digital Library of America, and the IMLS, the Institute for Museum and Library Services, to create an app available only through First Book, and to provide kids in need with access to a library of free digital ebooks for their use and reference. And so to get access to open ebooks, which could also be a wonderful resource that can complement the books that you are getting from this grant to put into your library, you might have interest in the free resource Open eBooks, which you can access at the bottom of the free resources page. Maybe we just talk about the book bank, Candace.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry, it was just spinning and spinning. I am so sorry about that. Yeah, so just to scroll back down all the great things Becky was mentioning.
There's a lot of great free resources on the page. And then this is where you access open ebooks for the kids that you serve.
Oh no, you guys, I'm so sorry. So this
There you go.
page looks like, and there are a lot of great resources on this page too, including letters to parents in English and Spanish, helping them understand how to download the app and use the codes, as well as some FAQs that are really useful. And then are we ready to hop to
Candace, could you share with the award winners, what can they just go on and shop, or what do they need to do to be able to access the resources here? And it looks like we also have a question in the chat someone was asking.
So and we will talk about this at the end, but to access these resources, you can absolutely just go to fbmarketplace.org. You will have, you can look around all you want, but in order to actually access any of these resources, you're going to have to sign in. And signing in is really easy. There's a quick online form that you have to fill out. It takes less than 5 minutes just to give us an idea of who you are and your organization, to affirm that you serve the population that we are serving, which is kids in need, obviously, as we've mentioned, and we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. And the question in the chat,
The question that we have there, Barbara, it looks like from Barbara Haas about
open ebooks.
Yeah, to clarify how the students access those.
Yeah, sure. So everything comes from the educator or the librarian. The marketplace is an interface just for those who are registered with our network, but you can click on whatever collection is right for you. When you do that, you can quote unquote order a number of codes, unique codes that you'll be sent, and then you can share a code per kid, basically. And then once they get that unique code, they'll be able to download the Open eBooks app on their smartphone or device. And then by putting in their code, that'll give them access to the books. Did that cover it? All right. Should we talk about Book Bank, Becky?
Sure. Yes, sorry, just on open ebooks. It's not too good to be true, I promise. It's real and it's fabulous. Each student, you will sign up. So if you serve 30 students in a classroom, or if you're a librarian or a media specialist and you're working with 200 kids in a school, you actually can request that number of codes. So as Candace said, the important thing is that each student gets their own unique code, so that when they download the Open eBooks app from the Android store or the iPhone store, wherever they're downloading apps from, in order to access that app, they're going to need a unique code. And so that's what you get through signing up with First Book. Do you want to talk about the Book Bank?
Yeah, I do. In the spirit of not too good to be true, the Book Bank is actually the first model of book distribution that was created by First Book 29 years ago by our still current CEO and co-founder of First Book, realizing that there was this complete lack of access to high quality or any books in low-income communities. As she says, she really made herself a student of the publishing industry and learned that there were literally millions of books being destroyed each year because publishers were receiving books back from their retail customers, and they had no place to put them. There were, a few options for some clearinghouse type of places, but really nothing that could handle there was no system in place to handle the overstock of millions of children's books coming back to publishers each year. And so the Book Bank was created 29 years ago in partnership with just a handful of publishers initially, who agreed to donate those books to First Book, and we then could donate them out to our network. That has grown to now just about every major publisher in the US participates in the Book Bank. And we've grown to be such strong partners with the publishing industry that many publishers will see First Book as a partnership in their philanthropic efforts. And so, run an extra print run of a brand new book and donate it to the book bank. And so books that are coming through the book bank are really great high interest titles, often titles that have, characters that kids can relate to. We have some great options from Disney and Star Wars, now that I think that's Disney too. Things that get kids excited when they see characters they recognize, themes that they're excited about. And the way the book bank works, you'll see these little flags with carton numbers in them, or books in cartons, carton quantities. And the publishing industry donates books in full carton quantities of a single title to First Book, and then we ship those right back out to help us make sure that there are as few shipping and handling costs as possible. So book bank books are available for about 65 cents each, and that really is just to cover shipping, getting the books into our warehouse, processing the books, and getting them back out. So looking at this carton of 40 paperback Disney-bound titles, you're only paying $22 for 40 books, saving of 97%. So obviously this is an incredible resource when, you have a lot of kids that you want to get books to, or, we know a lot of educators use the book bank for things like a book to every kid at the end of the school year, or free book fairs where you can have more than one copy of a single title. And so it's just a really fantastic resource. And this is really what started everything at First Book. And the rest of the marketplace grew out of the book bank. As you can imagine, folks in our network are absolutely thrilled to have access to brand new books at this very affordable price. But it's not always the exact content folks need for teaching a lesson or highlighting a theme. And so this is really a wonderful place to come check out, perhaps engage, when you have those opportunities to get lots of books out to lots of kids. And it doesn't matter if you have 32 of the same title. And then the rest of the marketplace is available when you have more curated needs. And these two interact seamlessly. So when you're on the marketplace, after you've registered and you've logged in, you can fill your cart from the book bank and the other parts of the marketplace that we looked at, and it will all just calculate seamlessly. So this is just a fantastic resource, and we kind of save the best for last in some ways because it really helps dollars just stretch as far as possible. Anything else you want to say about the book bank, Becky?
I think the big thing to note here is that it's multiple copies of the same title with the book bank, whereas the marketplace is individual copies. And so for your library and your books, with this grant, depending on what the best use case is for you, just to note that and just to reinforce what's been put in chat is that your grant is really intended to get books to fill your libraries. And so if it's helpful to have multiple copies, the book bank might be a good resource. Otherwise, you might want to focus on the other parts of the marketplace that we reviewed. Great. And then just flipping back to our last slide, and we can certainly take questions in the presentation, was really about who can access First Book. And how to access First Book. A really easy way to access First Book is to go to the site, fbmarketplace.org, and sign in and create an account so that you can get access to First Book. But really, as we mentioned, it's any practitioner, educator, caring adults working with kids in need, where over 70% of the kids that you serve come from families in need, or if you're a Title I or Title I eligible school, you are eligible to connect with First Book. Again, it's the educators, the practitioners, the librarians, not the kids or the families directly. And this visual just gives you a sense of the different types of practitioners and educators who do take advantage of First Book as a resource. So that is how First Book can hopefully help you stretch your grant dollars further. And we're just excited to be here and to connect with this group.